Celestine is our next presenter.
All right. We're going to just take a look at mine. I wanted to identify the gaps in school performance for African American learners. First thing I wanted everybody to take a look at is a political cartoon that expresses our educational system. On it, you see, for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb that tree. This political cartoon is called Climb That Tree, Differentiating Differentiation. Our education system is represented by showing a line of different animals being ordered to climb that tree as a standardized assessment tool. The cartoon shows 5 out of 6 animals that could never climb that tree. This is a true reflection of our education system. The cartoon implies that asking every child to take the same test is unfair because children are individual and some children can't do academic tests as well as other children can. Instead of assuming that some kids can't climb that tree, we should be finding ways of helping them to get there. So just the introduction, how does the school's performance identify gaps in African American students? I took a look at 3 different schools: Ron Clark Academy in Atlanta, Georgia, Knowledge is Power Program or KIPP Academy in New Orleans, Louisiana, and Chicago Public Schools in Chicago, Illinois. The problem statement. So the areas that lend themselves to contributing to the widening gap in school performance: A, tracking or teaching different curriculum; B, less rigorous curricula; C, assignment of ineffective teachers; D, lowering standards; E, classroom size. So the gap, a study by Brown and Royal in 2014, the gap between African American learners and white learners has been on average around 30 points. 3 major themes: build authentic relationships, needs-driven instruction, and staff members require professional development. Tracking. Chambers in 2009 conducted a study in which African American students were tracked. The study showed differential treatment as early elementary school. Standards. Radcliffe, Costner, Carol Jones, Shaheen, and Hunt in 2016 studied performance gaps of lower standards for African American learners and classroom size. 4 potential solutions: 1, tutoring for students; 2, social work resource use; 3, more teacher diversity training; 4, reduce class size. The purpose. The purpose of this study will be to examine the impact of tracking curriculum rigor, teacher effectiveness, standards, and classroom size on school performance gaps for African American learners by 1, identifying the factors that lead to gaps in performance; 2, identify factors that could be addressed to improve performance. The investigative strategy, a casual comparative research study that will examine the relationship between school performance and the 5 areas that lend themselves to contributing to the widening gap in school performance. And these are the same 5 that I stated on the problem statement as well. Teacher assignment, what differences exist between assigning ineffective teachers to African American learners and effective teachers on school performance? Curriculum, what differences exist between a curriculum for African American learners and a standard curriculum for other learners in school performance. Standards, what differences exist between lower standards for African American learners. And what I mean by lower standards is people saying that, oh, because you're African American, you may not can complete something or do an assignment. It needs to be dummied down or lowered to a different level. And current standards for other learners in school performance. Classroom size, what differences exist between large classrooms for African American learners and a standard classroom size for other learners in school performance. The limitations on this study, the percentage of teachers from the factors affecting school performance, effects that may occur over a period time in which teachers may experience changes. The results are not to be used as solutions without careful consideration. The findings. More rigid standardized testing, a lack of cultural pertinent curriculum, a biased view that Black culture is deficient rather than different from the majority cultures. The Gallup polls and reports reveal minority and non-minorities have an increased number of challenges in their daily lives. It is important that teachers of African American learners understand their students' background and plan, curriculum, and instruction to improve the teaching and learning environment. Research suggests that exposing African American learners to different curriculum that is customized and inclusive to the African American culture will provide them with the necessary skills to navigate through state mandated requirements. Findings suggest that a more cultural based curriculum allows of transfer learning that connects what is taught, learned, and applied. Through differentiation, a teacher utilizes his or her knowledges and skillfulness to meet each student where they are and then help inspire them to move to where they need to be. Many students do not act on what they are taught unless they have a relevant connection between what is taught and what is meaningful and what is learned. The cultural differences. Teachers sometimes misinterpret the behaviors of poor and minority students because they do not understand the cultures they come from. Exposing African American learners to different curriculum that is based on their culture and presented in a relevant way provides them with the necessary knowledge and skills needed to navigate through all the state mandated requirements. Conclusions and recommendations. Social effects on academic success, findings in 2 articles. 1, an effort to close achievement gaps at scale through self-affirmation, 2013. 2, social identity and achievement gaps, evidence from affirmation intervention in 2015. Simple self-affirmation techniques that made a major difference in a student's academic success. The writings were designed for 2 reasons: to ensure there were no stereotypical biases, to enforce students to focus on core values that they deemed important. Borman and Gregg, MD, began the discussion that for some minority students, addressing the social side of the academic environment proved to provide positive support to their academic loads. Lively discussions promote lifetime literacy efforts and build resilience in learners. Personalized learning tools and strategies for students. More cultural-based curriculum that allows for transfer of learning that connects what is taught, learned, and applied. This is empowerment, which in this study leads to academic improvement and identifying gaps in school performance for African American learners. And these are just the references, so let me stop sharing. Any questions or comments?
Thank you, Amber, for your information.